Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a really famous one of Australia's most enduring cold cases, the Tamam Shud mystery.
Absolutely. It's got everything: intrigue, weird clues, decades of silence.
Right. And our mission here is to sort of pull out the key pieces from, over 70 years of investigation now. We'll guide you through the twists right up to a pretty stunning modern breakthrough.
So let's set the scene. Picture this. December 1st, 1948, Somerton Beach, down in Adelaide.
And there's a man, deceased, found propped up against the seawall.
Yeah, impeccably dressed, suit, tie. Looks almost like he just fell asleep there.
But almost immediately, things fell off, didn't they?
They did. The police found, pocket litter, but crucially, no wallet, no identification at all.
Strange. And something about his appearance, too.
Well, his shoes were highly polished, oddly clean for the beach, and the way the blood had settled, the lividity, it suggested to police he hadn't died there.
Ah, so he might have been moved.
That was the suspicion. It looked staged. There was even a witness report later, someone seeing a man being carried nearby that night.
Okay, so a stage scene. What about the cause of death itself? Was that clear?
Not at all. The pathologist, Dr. John Dwyer, he was convinced it was poisoning.
Right.
But the toxicology tests, they came back clean for all the usual suspects. Nothing common found.
Huh. So, a dead end.
Almost. But then, this eminent pharmacologist, Sir Cedric Stanton Hicks, he testified about, rare poisons.
Rare poisons? What did he mean?
Things so potent, so hard to trace they could mimic natural causes. And get this, he refused to name them out loud in court.
Wow. That immediately screams something sinister, doesn't it? Maybe professional?
Exactly. It pointed towards something sophisticated, maybe even an execution.
Okay, so we have a mysterious death, possibly poisoning. What happened next? Any leads?
Well, things went quiet for about 6 weeks. Then, a breakthrough of sorts. A suitcase turns up at the Adelaide railway station's cloakroom.
Linked to the Somerton man.
Believed to be, yes. And inside, more weirdness. All the labels on the clothes were meticulously cut out. Except for 3 items which had the name T. Keen written on them.
T. Keen?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else in the suitcase?
Yeah, a few tools. An electrician's screwdriver, a table knife that had been sharpened down, some scissors. For years, people saw this as, spy equipment.
Especially with the Cold War heating up back then.
Right. But the most famous clue, the one that gave the case its name, was found on the body itself.
The Tamam Shud slip.
Exactly. Hidden deep inside a tiny fob pocket, one that seemed to have been secretly sewn into his trousers. A tiny scrap of paper.
And it just had those 2 words.
Tamam Shud. Pulled from the last page of a collection of poems, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. It means, it is ended, or it is finished.
Finding it hidden like that,
yeah,
it feels like a message, doesn't it? Very deliberate.
Hugely deliberate, and that led police to appeal to the public. Anyone seen a copy of the Rubaiyat?
And someone had.
Yes, a local chemist. He found a copy tossed into the back of his unlocked car, parked near Somerton Beach around the time the body was discovered, and crucially, the last page, with Tamam Shud, was torn out. It matched the scrap.
Incredible. And was there anything else with that book?
There was. Faint pencil indentations on the back. They revealed an unlisted phone number and 5 lines of what looks like some kind of code.
Okay, now we're really into mystery territory. The phone number.
It led to a nurse, Jessica Thompson, though she often went by Joe or Justin, lived just minutes from Somerton Beach.
Did she know the man?
She denied it. Said she didn't know him at all. But when the police showed her a plaster bust they'd made of the man's face, she reacted very strongly. Police described her as completely taken aback, almost fainting, very emotional.
But she stuck to her story.
She did. She claimed she had owned a copy of the Rubaiyat once, but she'd given it years earlier to an army lieutenant named Alf Boxall.
Okay, so maybe Boxall was the Somerton man.
That was the theory for a while. But police tracked Boxall down. He was alive and well, and he still had his copy of the Rubaiyat, the one Jessica gave him, completely intact, with Tamam Shud still on the last page.
So, 2 books, both somehow linked to Jessica.
Yeah.
That just deepens her connection.
It does, and that code found in the other book, utterly baffling. Decades of attempts by naval intelligence, amateur sleuths, cryptographers. No one could crack it.
So for, 70 years, you had these 2 main ideas floating around?
Pretty much. The spy theory was huge, untraceable poison, cut labels, the code, Jessica's secrecy. It all screamed Cold War espionage.
Or the alternative.
The jilted lover theory. Maybe he came to see Jessica. Maybe there was a fight. Maybe an accidental overdose she covered up. Her house was so close. Her reaction to the bust was intense.
And wasn't there something about her son?
Yes, Robin. People noted striking physical similarities between him and the Somerton man. Some very rare shared traits like ear shape and dental features. It fueled speculation he might be the man's secret son.
Which would explain Jessica's secrecy, especially back then.
Absolutely. So spies or lovers, that was the debate for decades. Until DNA.
The big breakthrough. Professor Derek Abbott managed to get some hairs.
Yes, from the original plaster bust made back in 1949, incredibly preserved. He teamed up with the forensic genealogist, Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick.
And they managed to get DNA.
They did. And through just a monumental effort, building this massive family tree, like 4,000 people, they finally put a name to the face in July 2022.
And the Somerton man was?
Carl Charles Webb, born 1905 in Melbourne.
Carl Webb. An ordinary name, finally. What did they find out about him?
He was an electrical engineer and instrument maker, and his hobbies, writing poetry and betting on horse races.
Suddenly the Rubaiyat clue seems less like spy code.
And maybe more personal, yeah. And that baffling code, maybe not state secrets, but possibly initials from a poem he wrote, or even shorthand for horse racing bets. Much more mundane.
And the T. Keene clothes.
Turned out T. Keene was Thomas Keene, his brother-in-law. Simple explanation.
So, his personal life. Why was he in Adelaide?
Records showed he had separated from his wife Dorothy the year before, in 1947. Maybe he was traveling, trying to start fresh. We don't know for sure why Adelaide.
So the identification answered the who, but the how and why?
Still murky. The official cause of death is still undetermined. Poisoning is suspected, but unproven.
And the Jessica Thompson connection. The DNA must have shed light on the Robin theory.
It did. And this is maybe the most profound twist. The DNA proved Carl Webb was not Robin Thompson's father.
Wow. So Jessica's decades of apparent fear and secrecy. It wasn't about hiding a secret love child after all.
Exactly. Which makes you wonder, what was she so terrified of? What secret did she take to her grave? If it wasn't that, what could it be?
And why didn't Webb's own family identify him after all those public appeals back in the day? He wasn't some unknown drifter.
It's another layer of the remaining mystery. Perhaps estrangement, perhaps they just didn't see the connection despite the publicity. We don't know.
So the Tamam Shud case, it sort of transformed, didn't it? From this grand, almost cinematic spy puzzle.
To something much more human. A tragedy about a real person, Carl Webb, whose life ended mysteriously and who remained unknown for so long.
It really shows how easily circumstantial details can send us down rabbit holes building these elaborate theories.
When the reality might be simpler or just differently complicated. We have his name now, but Carl Webb's full story, his final hours, Jessica's real secret, those answers are still elusive.
Even with the name, the how and why remain. A reminder that even when science gives us answers, some human mysteries endure.